So I want to bring our youth jury up first. Jonah Broskow, Sarah Snyder, Daniel Greensfeld. There are two members that aren't here, Maya Menachem and Ben Friedman. And yeah. We all met for several Sundays over a period of a couple of months with Joshua Moore and myself, and we talked about film curating and jurying and the whole process, and they had about 8 shorts to pick from, and they did an incredible job, I have to say. So I'm very proud of them, and this is our inaugural youth jury. So Jonah's going to read the jury statement.
In the short film Black Hat, we see religion and personal identity embrace each other in an emotional and universal way. This inspiring film shows that though scary, it is important to embrace who you are. And with that, we are honored to present Black Hat with the 2019 inaugural Youth Jury Award.
And our youth jury is going to do a short Q&A, but before they do that, Black Hat won 2 awards. We have a Film Movement Award for Best Narrative Short, and Black Hat was selected. And that means that they will, oh, I forgot one thing, actually. Jonah, give them the check. That's part of the Youth Jury Award. And the Film Movement Award means that the distribution company, Film Movement, wants to distribute your short, and they have a distribution deal.
That's fantastic.
So,
thank you very much.
Philip, there you go. Congratulations, double winner.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to leave it to our youth jury to conduct the Q&A.
Oh, okay, but watch for the hole.
Watch your step.
Your sharp one?
What was the biggest inspiration for this film, and what was the process like? How did everyone get involved?
I'm going to hand this over to Philip.
Okay. Hi, I'm Philip. I'm the writer and producer. So just to answer the question about inspiration, many years ago I was living in New York City. I was writing and working in the theater, and I went to social work school to become a social worker because I wasn't doing enough already. And I wound up doing an internship at an organization called Footsteps. You may or may not be familiar. Footsteps is an organization in New York that helps ultra-Orthodox Jewish people who are debating whether or not they want to remain religious. They help them with resources, with therapy, with all kinds of different supportive services when trying to solve this issue in their life and decide if they want to become secular or if they want to remain in their religious community. So I had the great honor and privilege to work there as part of an internship for a year. And I'm a secular Jew myself. I'm from a Jewish community not far from here. I was raised in the South Bay. I had a bar mitzvah, and I grew up Jewish, but in a very different world than the world we see in that movie. So for me to come face to face with that community and that world was a real eye-opening experience. And I learned a lot of surprising information and stories. And there were people at Footsteps who were dealing with a concealed gay or lesbian or bi identity that were living double lives. And I heard a lot of those stories. And so I did my internship and I finished and I moved on in my career, and those stories never left me. And so that's the inspiration. And you asked a second part of the question.
Oh, that was how did everyone get involved?
Do you want to answer that one?
Well, Philip and I have known each other for plenty of years, and we've made several projects together, so that's how we came together, and then we each brought our friends into the fold and put it together.
Yes, thank you. How's this? Okay.
I thought what was really striking about this movie was how like little dialogue there was, and there was a lot of scenes that had a lot of silence, and that was really powerful, and the narrative was just so strong. How do you go about, Sarah, directing a film and that's, doesn't have a lot of dialogue? What do you tell Adam Silver, the actor, to in each take? Like, what are you telling him to act like?
Well, one thing that I think is really important is that the camera will photograph thought. So you have to actually, as the actor or the person performing, go through that emotion. So however you have to get yourself there, you have to get yourself there. And Adam is a very talented actor. So for me, I can't do that job. So it all comes down to casting. And as soon as I saw him, I just knew he was the dude.
Awesome.
Why Black Hat? Why was this title chosen, and what do you think the hat symbolizes in your film?
That's a great question, and actually I was just thinking about that while I was watching it with you. Why did I choose that title? And I don't remember like exactly how or where it came to me, except that when I write scripts, there's often working titles, and it's sort of a process. And at some point in writing it, I think what happened is I realized that this is a very human and very personal story about an individual, but it's really that hat in the story that transforms him and that connects him in a way he never imagined. So for me, the story kind of comes down to that hat, which represents a lot more than just a hat. So.
Also, I like to think often in metaphor when telling a story to hopefully have it resonate in a larger way. And for me, the black hat also meant a covering of his identity and who he was as a person and finding a way to connect with other people.
When the black hat is returned to the owner at the synagogue at the end of the movie, suddenly this man's world kind of collide. So what is the main idea you want the audience to take away from that moment?
Well, I definitely want the audience to have a moment of, oh my God, and then also a moment of hope. I mean, Shmuel may not be experiencing freedom the way you and I consider freedom, but he is finding his way, he's finding a connection, and there is hope that he will not be alone. So that was important for me at the end of the story.
And I would just add, that's a really good question too. I would just add that moment of connection and surprise for me was in terms of the inspiration for this, when I worked in the community and I realized there were many people who were living double lives, I learned from these people, my clients, that they had to sort of go incognito when they wanted to go out or explore, and they were constantly dealing with running into each other. That actually happens. And so a lot of people in this community trying to cope or deal with questions about how do I conceal my identity are doing it because they're actually not alone. And I find that fascinating, that there's a lot of people sort of under the radar trying to move in these circles and live their lives.
So I just want to say thank you to all of you on stage, and these guys created their own questions, and I think they did an amazing job. So let's give everyone And I think they had a great film to work with, so thank you for making that film.